Hello, my fellow movie fans, and welcome to another show of Feast of Films Theatre. Today starring Matthew Black and Ethan R. Hill. There, that's the intro.
Oh, yeah. Classic. Classic. What's going on, my fellow movie fans? Welcome to A Feast of Films, episode number 13. I'm your host today, Matt Black, and with me as always is...
Ethan R. Hill, and you got the intro this time, Matt. That's really great.
I did.
I'm glad that
so
after 13 weeks, you're finally able to say it right.
You guys obviously weren't here for just this previous recording, but I totally introduced the other show that I'm working on for my other channel, Storytellers for Life. I introduced that show and I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. Ethan's just staring at me like I'm some kind of crazy dude.
Did we change the name of the podcast? What's going on? Did I sleep through something? What year is this?
Ethan's like, I missed the memo. What is going on?
Let me check my emails here.
Oh man, just the moments where it's like, oh boy, you just embarrass yourself. But it's all in good fun. We had a great time. But yeah, episode 13 today. This is our 13th episode, but because of the Star Wars bonus ones, we've actually been doing this for what, 14
weeks,
15
I think.
weeks,
I think 14,
something around there.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the one Star Wars one we released the same week, so yeah. We didn't miss a week
14.
that week.
Say 14 weeks. We've been doing this for 14 weeks, and that's...
So, yeah, 14 weeks.
Is that longer than you thought we'd be going on for, Matt?
Dude, honestly, like, I was like...
I was surprised
at first
we made
I thought,
it to 5.
Maybe we'll do, like, 5 weeks. Yeah, our first Star Wars special. When we got there, I was like, yeah, look at us go.
And now we're just tired. We're just super tired. Today has been a doozy of a day. It's been a doozy of a week. We've had to reshuffle our recording time. I've had to reshuffle my recording space because it's like friggin' hot outside. It's 30 degrees upstairs, and I would not have been able to survive closing up everything just to record this for good audio. It would have just been now like I'm sweating enough downstairs, but like it's at least kind of cool here. But it's just.
And dude, that's what's important. So clearly me saying the wrong name of our show is the least of our worries.
It's lucky episode 13, and that's what I'm going to blame it on.
And we're off to a great start. Here we go. And we even have a better year because we're talking about the best and worst films of 2013. Spoiler alert. It was a pretty average as hell year. So we have a debate break coming at you. We got a great debate going on there. We're prepared. We're ready to go.
Definitely.
And, of course, at the very end, question of the day. So make sure you stick around for all that stuff. And subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. Follow us on the other platforms as well. And, yeah, let's get to it. The best films of 2013.
Before we jump in, I'm curious, Matt. What did you watch this week? How has your week been for viewing?
Oh, you know what? Yes, let's do that. Let's talk about films. You know what? Yeah, I agree. You did mention some earlier, and I forgot about it. Okay, yes. How was your week for viewing?
Freaking terrible. Freaking awful. I had a terrible time. I only watched 2 things. The saving grace here is I've been playing Wolf Among Us, which is just a really good game. Really good story. So I've been playing that, which has been nice. But we watched Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, which I really, really wanted to like because I like Kevin Smith and I like Jay and Silent Bob. But it just wasn't... It was missing its magic. It just wasn't the same. It just bummed me out by the end because I'm like, okay, all right. At least Kevin Smith had fun. He got to make a movie with his friends. That's my big takeaway. But it was not... I didn't feel energized after watching that one.
That's always a little disappointing when something comes back after so long and you're like, I'm hoping it's still going to be as amazing as I remember it. And then it's just not. It's just not. That's always a bummer, man. That's always a bummer.
Well, and the second thing we watched, which kind of ties into that too, we watched Scoob. That new Scooby-Doo movie.
I totally avoided that film. I blamed it on coronavirus, but in truth, I was like, I ain't watching that.
So, like... I don't want to say I'm a diehard...
I love Scooby-Doo, but it looked questionable.
Like, I wouldn't say I'm a diehard Scooby-Doo fan, but, like, I enjoy Scooby-Doo. I quite enjoy Scooby-Doo. Mm-hmm. This was a children's movie dressed up like a Scooby-Doo film and had nothing to do with Scooby-Doo whatsoever. Like it was not great. It was pretty rough. They were really focused on trying to set up like a
Oh.
Hanna-Barbera expanded universe as opposed to just making a good Scooby-Doo movie. Like
Oh, was Yogi Bear there?
no, Blue Falcon and Dino Mutt, and then Captain Caveman.
Okay.
Like they pick those guys, but they're like the movie is more of like a Blue Falcon and Dino Mutt movie featuring Shaggy and Scooby with like Fred, Velma, and Daphne doing their own thing. And like
Is there like a mystery that they're trying to
not
solve
really,
or
no,
nah?
not really a mystery. It's kind of framed like a mystery, but it's more like an adventure movie than an actual like mystery. So it was pretty rough and like as like
So
again as a fan of Scooby Doo, it was just disappointing. But
so like not like like as in its spirit, it wasn't Scooby
oh,
Doo.
hands down, it was not. It was definitely it was made to just capitalize on Scooby Doo's name, and that was it. And
Ah, it
it
sucks.
sucks. And like at the end of the day, though, I'm glad that I still watched it, so I could like know, so I knew I wasn't missing out on something. And like there are a
Mm-hmm.
couple funny moments here and there. I can't think of them right now, but there was a couple funny moments. Um, but overall, it was just like it was mildly disappointing. But then we watched afterwards to cleanse our palate and restore our faith in Scooby Doo. We watched the Supernatural Scooby Doo crossover,
Oh, nice, good
which is so
call.
good.
Which is
And like
magic. Yeah.
at the end of the day, as much as those movies kind of bummed me out this week, it's not going to take away from like the movies that came before them, which is always nice. Like I can always go back and watch whatever Scooby Doo I want. I can watch any other Kevin Smith film I want, and it doesn't like the new
Yeah.
films don't really take away from that, which is nice, and I'm kind of content with that. And it was, but it wasn't. I didn't need to watch two rough movies in one week. I should have picked a good
Well,
one to watch.
yeah, you should maybe spread them out a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, that you make a good point, man. At the end of the day, when things get rebooted or remakes, because like that happens all the time,
Yep.
and it's gonna just keep happening more and more and more. At the end of the day, even if they're terrible movies, we still have the originals. We can just completely ignore those other ones exist if you want to, if you choose to, and you still have the originals.
Exactly.
So you're still winning. You don't lose anything by them making it. You just don't necessarily gain anything either. So it can be disappointing. I watched one and a half really great movies just this last week here. I think it was like Saturday night, Sunday night, one of the two. I've been watching Last Kingdom as well, and a couple episodes in, it's starting to get interesting. So we'll see how that kind of pans out and where it goes from there.
Yep.
But the first one I watched that I hadn't watched in a long time, and it was on Netflix. It's back on Netflix, and I was like, hell yeah, I gotta watch this. That was Hot Rod. So that's another one of those Andy Samberg and gang movies.
Yeah.
I love that movie. That movie makes me laugh so much. So much. That I don't know if I like it more than Popstar or less, but they're very close as far as how much I like them, man. It's just silly fun. Like you got Andy Samberg and the boys, he's a stunt man and he does terrible stunts. So you got the physical comedy. They have like great timing with their nerdy awkwardness. So you got that kind of stuff. And again, Ian McShane is in that one as well as
he
his
is,
dad.
isn't he?
And yeah, he is. I was watching. I was like, oh, there he is. There's the man himself. And like his whole goal is to, like beat the crap out of his stepdad. And then when he finds out he's dying, like it's about saving his stepdad so he can beat the crap out of his stepdad. Like it's just great. It's just great. That was awesome.
I need to rewatch
And then I watched half of Accepted. That
That's
one
a
with
good one.
came out
Justin
like
Long.
2006. Justin
Yeah.
Long. Yeah. That's another one of like probably my all-time favorites.
Ask
Like
me
I don't know
about
why,
my
I just love it.
wiener.
It just, yeah, like that film just works. It's just a great feel-good
yeah.
film. So anytime I can have the opportunity to watch it, I definitely check it out. But I only got halfway because the internet crapped out, and it's like there's no internet, and I was like, okay, well I guess I'm not watching the rest of this film.
Crap.
But no, I dude, I watched some great movies. That sucks. You got some pretty bad ones though, because I had fun. I had fun. 1.5 movies. It was worth
But I guess
it.
that's the gamble you take when watching a new movie, right? You don't know if it's gonna be good. You don't know if it's gonna be bad. Like, It's a 50
Yeah.
50 shot. So, and I just happened to get
You're right.
the downside of it, but I'm pretty sure
You just got like double whammied.
I'm pretty sure there are people out there who like those films too. They just weren't my thing, and yeah, it was just kind of a. It's not really what I needed this week. I needed some good pick me ups this week. That would have been nice.
Well,
But I
yeah.
chose
Speaking of films you
poorly.
liked, and chose poorly. Well, talking about things you like and pick me up films. Let's get into our best films of 2013.
Do we have to,
Ethan, what
Matt?
were your favorite
Do we
ones?
have
Yes,
to?
we do. We do.
Okay.
It's part of the job, man. It's part of the
Okay.
job. And I guess
So-
I guess I'll just mention quickly. 2013 probably isn't our favorite year. We looked through the movies, we're like, there just wasn't a lot for us to like
Yep.
really love. There wasn't a lot that I hated either. There was just a lot of really mediocre movies that elicit no emotional response whatsoever. So maybe those are the worst movies. I have to see, but anyway, let's do the best ones.
So I found
Go ahead,
I found
Ethan.
5 that I really enjoyed, and I kind of like bounced between which was I enjoyed the more than the others. But so I had World's End, which is Simon Pegg, Nick Frost alien invasion movie. It was pretty fun. It's like
Oh,
it's where like the group
yeah,
of friends
yeah,
try and
yeah,
go on
yeah.
like that pub crawl that they failed when they were kids, and they uncover an alien conspiracy. So that one was pretty fun. It's like the third film in that Shaun of the Dead Hot Fuzz trilogy.
I did not watch that one all the way through. I think I've seen bits and pieces of it. Haven't seen the whole thing.
It's
though,
a fun time.
I like those guys were great. Those guys are great. Man.
I didn't like it as much
make
as Hot
great
Fuzz and as Shaun of the Dead, but like it was still pretty solid.
Oh, Hot Fuzz is so good. Yeah.
Second one's also another world-ending one. It's This Is the End with Seth Rogen, Jay Baruchel. Those
Yeah,
guys,
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
So funny. And like I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it a few years later. Because my roommate of all people recommended it to me, and he hates most of those guys and like any other thing, but he's like, no, dude, this movie is absolutely hilarious. And it really is. Like, honestly, like it's one of the funniest movies I've seen in such a long time. Like it was
It's okay.
I enjoyed it quite a bit, man.
It was pretty average for me. I was like, okay.
That's fine. That's fair.
It had some funny like elements. I liked how all the celebrities were like everyone was just playing themselves. That was great. Like there was a lot of little things in there that was fun. But for me, like ultimately the movie's kind of middle
the
ground for
beginning
me.
was really good, and then like some of the middle was good, but then it kind of like lulls for a bit.
Fell apart at the
And
end.
then,
Yeah.
I like the very end, like the really like when they're all trying to escape the house, and like they're kind of either dying or getting sucked up to heaven. Like that kind, I like that bit, but like the part leading up to that was kind of mediocre. Like it's a roller coaster of waves, and it's just a good it's a good background one. Like it's a good one to just kind of throw on when you just want a good giggle. Otherwise, there was The Conjuring, which I think is a very effective horror movie, and honestly one of the scariest ones I've seen in a long time. Like it's traumatized me when I watched it the first time. It still scares me. Like it still does scare me quite a bit. The second one not so much. Like I enjoy the second one more than it scares me. But the first Conjuring like really just still their use of the tropes of jump scares against you by not putting jump scares where there should be is incredible. The amount of tension they built, like they built so much tension.
The tension, that's where it is. Yeah.
Like that first hour of the movie, basically nothing happens, and then suddenly the tension breaks, and you're like, everything's terrible. But like, no, that one's a really good one. Evil Dead, the 2013 remake sequel thing, I really enjoyed.
I never saw that.
Do you like the Evil Dead series, or not really?
I'm so on it. I know a lot of people like really love it, and I'm kind of like, yeah.
I really liked the remake. A lot of people, but I know didn't because it was too bloody, which is a weird thing to say about an Evil Dead movie. That makes zero sense.
Yeah, that seems strange.
But like, it's as soon as like the violence started happening, it was so over the top that it reminded me, because like the beginning is very old, like very modern horror, where it's like it's super serious and super dark and all this kind of stuff. But then the the killing starts happening, and it just goes really ultra violent, really fast, and immediately becomes
Yeah.
slapstickish, which, like, to me, just screams Evil Dead. So everyone in the theater is cringing. I'm laughing my head off because it's just really, to me, it's fun. It's Evil Dead. So I just think it's funny.
You're like,
and,
this
and on
works.
top of it, too, like, gore in movies doesn't really bug me because I see it as makeup effects. So, like, oh,
Yeah.
how'd they pull that off with liquid latex and stuff like that? I know they didn't really do this. So, like, I was more of excited by the things that were
Idea of it and
happening
all the
because it's, again,
yeah,
as a makeup effects
because of the
person, like,
background knowledge of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also is the first movie that I went to in theaters after a bad breakup. So, like, my friends dragged me to it. So there's a bit of positive memories there that might be biasing it a bit. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. And then Machete Kills. That was, have you seen the Machete franchise? Or I guess the 2 movies?
No, this dude. I honestly like. I just before you, I'll let you talk about it here right away. But our like top films for 2013 couldn't be more different, except for The Conjuring. But anyway, carry on. No, that's interesting.
So Machete just has a special place in my heart because it's like it's Robert Rodriguez making basically a Mexican exploitation film.
Right.
And, like, it's just really ridiculous, over the top, and crazy. Like, so much so the third movie, which hasn't happened yet, maybe it will, probably won't, is Machete Kills Again in space. And it's basically he's just like he's this I want to say he's an ex-federale who it just gets hired to kill people, and then he gets caught into conspiracy, and this is the sequel film, and it's even more ridiculous than the first one.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know. If you just like fun, like purposefully silly action movies, like then I'd recommend it. If you're a fan of Robert Rodriguez, I'd recommend it. Like, it's a solid flick.
Well, and that's like Danny Trejo
Yeah,
too,
100%.
right?
Like,
Yeah.
like, go in watching it.
He's great.
Don't take it too seriously, and don't have high expectations.
Just
but,
have
like,
fun
it's,
with
it's
it.
a fun movie. It's a good time. Like, I enjoyed it. And that's my list, and that's honestly the most I have to say about the films of 2013, which is kind of sad. Like, I wish I had more to say, but I don't know, man. Maybe you'll bring stuff up that I'll click in with. But
I'm sure I'll be bringing stuff up, man. I'm sure I'll be bringing stuff up. No, though that's an interesting list. A lot of those I haven't seen, so I can't really directly comment on the quality or if they're good or not. Danny Trejo, though, honestly, you stick that guy in anything,
he's great.
and it works. Like, somehow it works. It's so strange because he's such a he's a badass.
So that's
like, the dude's like 70 right now, I think.
That's
right?
the other thing with it too. His character name in Spy Kids is Machete, and he's supposed to be the same character as his character in Spy Kids.
That's pretty great. Okay. But he can be in Spy Kids and in this Machete series.
Oh yeah.
And like the same character, but yet somehow they both work.
Dude, him in Desperado, he's great in Desperado, and I think that was one of his first roles. So I don't think it was his first one, but it was one of them, and he's fantastic in that movie. Like,
but it just amazes me how, like, he's such a very, I don't know, stereotypical kind of badass action star looking type of dude, right? And he's very intimidating. And you think he'd only work in like certain films that are kind of built around that. But he just shows up everywhere and it just works.
works
Like,
in
it's
comedy, he
so,
works
that
in
was a
horror.
weird little voice crack thing that happened there. I'm not sure what that was. I gotta like bring it back down.
Was it an
I just gotta
attempted Danny Trejo
bring it back down.
impression?
Definitely not, but no, it's just crazy to me how it works. It's one of like life's greatest mysteries, because he can be in Spy Kids or Machete, or he was in like those Grindhouse films
Yep.
that would come out, right? I can't remember which one he was in.
I want to say he was in. Was he in Planet Terror? I feel like he.
Yes,
I feel like
I think
he
it was
would be,
that
'cause
one.
It's
I think it
that's
was
Robert
that one.
Rodriguez again. He was in
Yeah,
the Flash series actually for a while too.
Well, and that's what that was my other point too. He was in that, and then he's in Flash, and yet it works.
Oh yeah.
It's just funny. It's one of life's greatest mysteries. Sometimes actors are just like that though. It's not like they're necessarily like the most ranged actors. They just somehow make it
They just
work. They're
fit. They
believable
just
and it
fit
works.
nicely,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. So I can see how that machete's probably great,
It's
and I'm actually interested in checking that
I
out
think
now.
you'd get a kick out of it. I think it's again, it's kind of in a it's in a homage slash parody area of exploitation films. So I think, as I said, it's a fun
Hmm.
time. It's definitely rated R. Definitely, actually, I think all of these films on my list are rated R this year, which is weird for me. But like, that's what it is. That was 2013. 2013, the year after the world was supposed to end, was a very R-rated year.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot the world was supposed to end in 2012. And then it didn't, and we got a really average year of
Because
movies.
they
Is
were
this how we celebrate, guys? Is this how we're
no, they
celebrating?
released all the movies, the good movies, in 2012 just in case.
Just in case,
They
yeah.
were
They're like, just
prepped.
in case we all die, guys. Just dump them all in
And then it
2012.
didn't end, and they're like, "Crap, what do we do now?" Well, I
Like,
guess
what
we
do we
have
put
these.
out? Yeah. Oh man. This is the end. I guess I already mentioned that. I just found it pretty average for the most
That's
part,
fair.
but it did have some funny little tropes and little things in there and little twists, so it was okay, but it wasn't super great. But that's kind of how I
Jonah
feel
Hill
about
getting
most of
possessed was pretty funny.
2013.
Yeah,
And that was pretty okay. Yeah, yeah. Like it has its moments. It definitely has its moments. But yeah. Anything else you gotta say for your best of 2013, or
honestly,
that's
no, man. Like, I feel bad. I feel really
pretty much
bad
it?
because
Just
like this is not
you're
a good
just
way
like
to
these
start a.
movies
This is
were
not a good
okay.
way to start a podcast.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Okay, well, I'll go into mine. Best films of 2013. I'm sure these will elicit a lot of
Just fill
feelings
up that runtime, Matt. Fill up
for
that
you
runtime.
as well. Well, look, I don't want to get into too big of a discussion, but okay. So I picked one film for my best film, and then I got a couple honorable
All right,
mentions.
all right, all right.
So my best film, and man, people are gonna be like, "Are you effing kidding me?" Like people don't dig this movie, and I love this movie. I enjoy watching it so much. I think it's one of the most underrated comic book movies ever made. Is Man of Steel. I
Oh,
love Man of Steel.
I forgot
It
Man of
is
Steel came out in 2013.
it is like it's not my favorite like comic book movie ever, but it is up there. Like it is way more nuanced and in depth than a lot of people give it credit for. And Zack Snyder really thought out the character and the motivations, and
Eh.
he thought to levels. No, I think he thought to levels beyond most people are willing to look at. Everyone wants like your classic superhero movies, so there's not a lot of thinking. It's just like beat 'em up, smash 'em up. But then people were pissed that all the city got just like pretty much wiped out, and I don't understand that at all. Because I'm like, you're talking about superhuman beings here. Like, not just like Batman. You're talking about gods, literal gods. How can you not expect that city to fall to pieces? Like, it totally made sense, and I don't know why people were so upset about it. Anyway,
It's because a lot of people were expecting to have a weird mix of Superman 1970, like the 1970 Superman and Superman 2, and I think that was foolish for a lot of people going into it because like it's a different interpretation of Superman, and I have my issues with it, and I can speak to them at some point. But like I think I remember seeing it on the list when I was looking, and I'm like, oh, there's Matt's number one pick.
like it is my number one pick. And yeah, there's a lot of people who like really dislike it. I enjoyed it. One of the things that really worked for me was how Clark's journey was very relatable. We all are trying to figure out who we are, right? Because this was a journey. It wasn't like of Superman, and everyone wanted Superman, and that's fine. It's a Superman film. I get why people went in there being like, we should have Superman, like in his prime, like top notch, like good old, like, you know, American flag, apple pie, whatever, whatever, truth, justice, the American way,
Well,
good old
he
apple
was
pie.
kind of like my big complaint was that it just there could have been a balance between it being Clark and Superman. Like you could have had it where it's like he earns by the end of the movie he earns to become Superman. And like in this one, it didn't really feel like he did. Like it kind of felt like a big problem I have is just the lack of respect to the secret identity. Like how easy it was for Lois to find out who he was. How she kept calling him Clark. Like their relationship in these movies don't really make much sense to me as a dynamic. Like it's just like it to me it feels like Zack Snyder's like, who cares about secret identities, out the window. Like, and that's a problem. That's a problem I have.
That one worked. It worked for me with Lois.
In all honesty, with modern superhero films, well, that's just a problem I have recently. Is the secret identities don't matter. But
it's not a thing anymore.
It's dumb. I dislike that, and that's just a personal preference. But like, no, I like Amy Adams as Lois. I just don't like how easily he gave in to her when she shows up at his grave. Or his dad's grave, and is like, oh, so you must be Superman, and he shows up and is like, yes, I am, and it's like, I know the scene wasn't that, but that's basically what the scene was, and like, I feel like, I feel like it could have been like, I feel like there could have been more of a cat and mouse kind of thing of like, she's like, I know you're Superman, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, I'm just some nerd, and like, I feel like there could have been more of that kind of dynamic between them, which would have led to a bit more of an interesting scene. I think that's what I'm saying. Like, my problem with it isn't necessarily the quality of movie it is. It's just that it could have been a bit better. There are little things that would have they could have changed that would have made it better. I don't think people's complaints about the city being destroyed, I think, are kind of weak. Because, like, yes, Superman...
Super weak.
Because here's the thing. Superman might be like, yes, let's take it out of here. But, like, do you really think that the supervillain is going to listen to that? Like, I thought,
well,
especially
like,
the destruction of Smallville, I liked the destruction of Smallville.
Yeah.
I loved that. That was a good, especially for him, who, like, that's his home. Like, that's a massive, like, kick in the teeth, right? Like, but for me, I think a lot of people just look at it where it's not their ideal Superman, and, like, I'm one of them, too, where I want Superman in a Superman movie. But I think a lot of people took it a little too far with how much they hated it, and that's also how we got Batman v Superman and Justice League.
Yeah, exactly.
So...
like, it was part of the problem, man. People don't realize how much like they can become part of the problem too, and make things worse instead of actually making things better. Because no one really speaks for all the fans, right?
Yeah.
Like, we can both be fans and have both two completely different views of how to make movies better or worse, right? So one person speaks for everybody. Like, no one's unanimously like, yes, all the fans think this. Maybe a majority of them do, but you can't, not all of them.
Question for you. Pa Kent's death in this one. How did you feel about it?
I liked it. It worked for me. The scene worked for me just with like everything they'd been building up to.
Yeah, I guess so.
And how much Pa, because Pa Kent's whole thing was like, don't let the world like see you, right? Like, don't go out there. Like, they're gonna be scared of you. They're gonna like,
that worked.
You're gonna cause a lot of problems, right? And which is fair. Like, he's just trying to look out for the guy, and because he knows the world's not going to accept him the way he accepts him.
He's protecting
and it's very
his son.
true. Like, the world doesn't, and like how the other two films kind of get into that a little bit.
Kind of,
but
not really.
But they definitely derailed after that one. It definitely deserved more of a true sequel than Batman v Superman.
Than throwing Batman in there.
But yeah. But then to ultimately give his life in that, because that's not just something he saying just so the kid doesn't fly off and throw a truck at somebody. You know what I mean? Like, this is something that's so core to his character and what he believes that he's willing to die for that belief. Like, don't save me. Like,
well, like,
just, do you, but don't do you. You know what I'm saying?
I think if it was anything...
don't show the world your powers.
To me, I feel like if it was anything
not
but
yet.
A tornado... I would have been okay with it. The tornado thing was kind of weird because he could have totally saved his dad from that tornado without being seen. He could have. I know he could have. I know. Well, number one, Superman's greatest power is the writers. That's literally
yeah.
Superman is always as strong as the writer needs him to be. So in that moment, they specifically chose to make him not fast enough to save his dad from a tornado, but he totally could have been. Whereas, like, if it was, like, Like maybe this would have been worse, or maybe it would have been better. I don't know because it didn't happen. But like, imagine if it was something as simple as like Pa Kent crossing the street and getting ran over by a car, but like Clark couldn't run and save it because it's a busy street. Like so he couldn't like
Mm.
something like that. Like
Mm.
that's why I like again not to compare it to the '70s one, but that's why I like the '70s one is the way his dad dies as a heart attack. There's no way that Clark could have stopped him from that. That's you're dying of natural causes, right?
Well, yeah, but that would completely go in the face of the narrative that Zack Snyder had set up for Pa
No,
Kent in
and
this
I
film.
can agree with that. I can see where you're what you say with that. It's funny because I feel like
Yeah,
this is the reverse of last week's conversation with Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it's like yeah, I see what you're talking about, but I still disagree. But
yeah. Pretty much, man. This is exactly it. Like for me, again, like going back to this film and just what really worked for me, I think for the most part is number one, going into it, like I don't know. I was never a huge Superman fan. I loved Batman.
that's fair.
Everyone loves Batman, but like Superman, he didn't get as much like his animated series wasn't like as big as Batman's animated series.
I still love it.
Like he never got the same type of
Well,
if you weren't into comic books, he wasn't as much in the spotlight. Everyone knew of him. His logo was plastered everywhere. But it's like you like Batman better. You know, because Batman was there.
the other thing to remember with it too,
So
and I do have to remind myself on a regular basis, this Superman was supposed to cross over with Christian Bale's Batman. Because Chris Nolan came on and
were they gonna do that?
yeah, Chris Nolan produced or helped executive produce this one because they were going to have it in the same kind of universe, and they were going to kind of build up that kind of crossover thing. So if you look at what the Superman that they introduced in this film and compare that to the Christian Bale like Dark Knight Batman, like if you compare those two, you could see them showing up in the same film,
It makes more sense.
right? And that's because I want to say that's why I'm trying to remember what exactly happened with that, but it could just be that Man of Steel. No, I'm trying to remember what happened, but that was at least maybe that was the rumor mill. I don't know. I just remember that being a thing. That being a thing that a lot of people were talking about. Is like, that's what we're gonna get crossover with, and then we didn't get a proper follow up. Or
Well, okay, so yeah, like I'm not 100% sure he was. Like I know he was like the executive producer on that, and but I'm not 100% sure because Nolan had an idea exactly how he was ending his Dark Knight trilogy.
yeah, but the studio
Which
was.
I don't
We
know if
both
it
know the studio
went
was
in.
gonna override
Well,
that.
the studio wanted to do its own thing, possibly. Yeah, yeah. It depends how it would have went. Would have been
Well,
interesting.
the
But
more I'm learning about the Snyder cut, like, and I'm still mixed on it, man, of Justice League. The more I'm learning about it, the more I'm learning how much it was the studio's calls to like make Justice League the way that it was, rather than Joss Whedon's. It was a lot of the studio being like, "Hey, man, come do it this way. Come make this movie. We'll give you Batgirl if you do it this way. Just listen to us. We don't want to do Zack Snyder's thing. We want to do it this way." And a
mhm.
lot of it comes down to studio interference for a lot of movies. Warner Brothers pretty notorious for that, for trying to
Well, yeah, especially at that time, they were not great.
even now, man. Again, Scoob.
Well,
They
no,
made
yeah, like
Scoob, man. They made Scoob. It's
studios aren't always like the
they don't
best,
have
but
the best
it's
interest
fair.
in
Like they're investing a lot of money,
which
right?
is
Like at
fair.
the end of the day, it's the studio's money, so it's ultimately fair that they are involved to some degree. But again, that's why I'm a huge fan of saying like, hey, everyone get your shit together and then make the movie you agree to make. Like anything after that, it's like, well, if you don't like that idea anymore, well, then that's your problem. But
Yep.
I mean, I get that's not how business works, but that's just the way I think. Like, if you guys are agreed on the movie you're making and everyone makes that movie, okay. If someone starts going off loose cannon and starts going far left or far right or taking things into crazy different directions, well, fair enough. The studio can step in and say,
This
that's not the
isn't-
film we agreed to make, or the other way around,
The
right?
problem
If the
is,
studio tries to come in and tell a director to change it, like, well, that's not this film we agreed to make.
but then directors don't get that power unless they have a specific in their contract. They have to have a director's cut clause where they can actually have the final cut, or they get a version of their film.
Yeah,
So, but
yeah, it's the way it works. But no, I liked Man of Steel. It really worked for me. At the end of the day, it was a man trying to figure out who he was,
Yeah.
trying to find his purpose in the world. And that's a story we can all relate to, right? Like no one can relate to Superman and the fact that he's all powerful, but can relate to his journey of trying to find where he belongs, because we're all trying to find where we belong on this planet. Like he ain't the only one alone. And the thing that really, I think, at the end of the day, worked so well for me with like everything Zack Snyder had set up in this film, and I wish he would have got a sequel.
Yeah.
But even when he finally finds out who he is, and he finds out his origin, he finds out he's Kryptonian, and he finds the ship, right, and his father's little robot AI ghost kind of
Yeah.
thing, talking to him, which is like awesome. That was a really cool addition there. But then his people show up. And of course, they're just a bunch of murdering psychos. So, like, awesome. You finally found your people. Oh, too bad the only ones left are crazy as hell. And then he ultimately has to kill the last of his people to save humanity. So he just finds them. Now he has to kill them.
I think
Well, the one.
Feora's still.
And now he's truly alone in the universe.
Aren't there some
So
still?
that's kind of the thing that's like, ugh, that gets me.
Are there a few who are trapped in the Phantom Zone, or just the one?
No, I think it was just the group of them.
Okay, because like Feora is apparently
Because they were all released when Krypton.
but apparently
Krypton blew up.
Feora's still like his Zod's left hand lady or right hand lady. She's alive still apparently in continuity.
Oh,
Yeah.
Who knows?
Not that's what.
But I
that's-
mean,
that-
like,
that's what's
but I
been-
mean, like, what the film set up is like that. She's dead. But like, sure, later on, if you want to say,
one
she's
like
alive.
again that
But
tragedy.
the idea the film was getting across, it was just like the whole tragedy of it, though, right?
Well, again, you have to.
But the acting was great too.
Oh yeah, I had no problem with
and
the
that's
acting.
what sold it, right?
Oh, dude, Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White was amazing. I loved him.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne, the Law and Order guy, was great. He was this little like the soldier dude. Michael Shannon, Russell Crowe, Kevin Costner, Amy Adams, Henry Cavill, all great.
Yeah. Like I said,
all
it was
great. And the score was also tops. The score was so good.
No, I can't even disagree with that because like just that Man of Steel main theme.
Yeah. Ba-dum,
And
ba-dum,
the drums kick in.
ba-dum, ba-dum. Yeah, it's so good.
So what were your? Do you have any more to say on Man of Steel or?
No, I just
liked
loved
it,
it. The journey, yeah, I did. And the journey worked for me and the action worked for me. It made sense that the whole city got destroyed. I'm like, these are superhuman beings. I don't know what everyone's worried about. And they're like, why didn't Superman take him away from the city? And here's the thing with that too. If you're getting into a fight with someone who's considerably more advanced, like a higher level of fighter than you, they decide where the fight takes place at the end of the day. Like Zod, there's no way he was leaving the city if he didn't want to.
Also,
right? Like it was always going to come back to that.
they did that in Batman v Superman, and people had such a problem with it. Oh yeah, conveniently, there's a spot where they can just fight with no casualties. That's convenient. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
guys,
yeah,
you
people
can't-
complain about it. Yeah,
can't-
and they're like, "Oh,
you gotta pick one or the other. You
how
can't
convenient."
complain about.
They had
both.
to make a point in that movie that the city has been evacuated, and that's the problem with like Warner Brothers, and that's the whole problem with that whole group of movies.
It's just been
there,
course correction
especially in
after
DC.
course correction.
It was course correction. Yeah, it was just knee jerk reactions. It's listening to the fans. And you know what they say? When you listen to the fans, you're destined to be sitting with them. Because, like, listen, fans are great and they love what they love and they hate what they hate. But you're the like, you gotta, like, stay true to your visions. And you can't just do what the loudest group of fans say.
Oh, exactly.
Because, again, the ones on the internet aren't all the fans. It's honestly probably a small portion of all the fans. And they just tend to be the loudest, right?
Oh, 100%. I agree with that completely. It's weird,
But,
man.
yeah, it was just a silly idea. There's just a lot of silly things, and I mean, I get it. If people don't like the movie, that's fine. You're completely entitled to dislike the movie. But for me in 2013, that was definitely the best movie I had seen, and I just love a lot of the deeper introspective character moments and the character beats and the motivations that are in that film and the themes in that film, and that I think just a lot of people overlook.
See,
At the end of the day,
and I'm just glad you actually had a movie that you really liked and you actually have like a strong opinion on, rather than like my picks where it's like I liked them, they were good. Like
And
you at
like
least have
they were
you have
okay.
one that you actually
I at
like.
least have one film that I was like, oh yeah, this was gold, and that's probably, and like I'm sure there. Well, okay, let's get into my honorable mentions, because if I had only seen these other two twice, they may have probably been contenders, but I only saw them once. But so The Conjuring was one of my honorable
Yeah,
mentions. Like you said, it was great. Its use of tension, the use of characters, the scares. I feel like it really revitalized the horror movie, the horror genre.
it
At the
did.
time, there wasn't a lot that was good.
It was
Like there was some, it was just really bad, really cheap made stuff that did nothing. And The Conjuring revitalized its industry.
there were
So
three that came
that
out.
was pretty good.
There were three that kind of came out close together, and that was Insidious, Sinister, and The Conjuring, and that kind of revitalized that genre. But the problem is now all those like any horror film that comes out now are trying to
Is
be
trying to be that.
Insidious, Conjuring, or
Yeah.
Sinister, right? Like, and that's
Yeah, which is always the problem. Yeah.
like, yeah. So
Always the problem.
that's the problem there. But like again, it did revitalize the genre for a new generation. It's just now we got to figure out what the heck we're doing this upcoming decade
For the
because
next group of horror films. Yeah, you guys got to figure it out. Well, Blumhouse has been doing some really good things.
but it all has that same Blumhouse film, right? Feel, right? Like it
That's
feels
true too, I guess.
it
Yeah.
feels like generic horror movie after generic horror movie, and that's where I'm having a problem with it. Is there's a lack of variety and a lack of different feel to it, man. Like it's I don't know. It just something
Well,
feels
it's kind of like
maybe
the
that's
idea with horror films, right? Like they're easy to make, but they're incredibly difficult to master. You know what I mean? Like anyone can
yep.
make a horror film, but to make one that's just masterfully amazing is incredibly hard.
Oh yeah.
It's incredibly hard. They're easy to make, but they're hard to like really master and make a really good quality one.
Well, and it depends on the type of horror you're going for, right?
Well, yeah, that too. It's all part of it. It's all part of it. One of my other films was R.I.P.D., which was a
Oh
really
no, Matt.
silly film, dude. It was so
Like,
funny.
okay,
Jeff
so
Bridges and Ryan Reynolds. I was like, oh my god,
I
that film was
didn't
actually really funny.
I
She
didn't
just
hate
Billy
it.
goated me.
So I did watch this one.
Yeah,
It didn't make my list either way, just because I was very neutral on it.
yeah,
Because it just at the end of the day, it felt like a Men in Black clone.
and that's pretty much what it was.
And
At the
like,
end of the day, that's very close to what it was, and for me, like it wasn't like the story that was the best or like the whole concept of it. It was honestly just like Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds together were great. Like Jeff Bridges in that film was so funny. I don't think like if I had a choice to watch it again and the others on my list, I'd probably pick any one of the others. It's definitely the lowest
yeah,
point, but it's still worth to throw in honorable mentions. It's
I
still
didn't
worth it. It was
I
still
didn't hate
fun.
it as much as a lot of other people did, but like, yeah, it's one of those ones that like I don't think I'd revisit anytime soon.
Yeah, fair enough. Honorable mention next one, Kick Ass 2. That was fun.
Yeah, I
That was
liked
a
it.
good film. Yeah, I like the first one too. The second one I just think expanded the idea and was yeah, that was great. I don't really have anything more to say about it, but
Yeah,
it was
that's
funny. It's a fun take on the superhero genre, that's for sure.
dude. That's most of this year for me. It was just like, oh yeah, I saw this film. It was enjoyable, and I don't have much more to say on it. Like,
Yeah, like that's kind of what I gotta say. So then moving on, Captain Phillips is
I haven't
on
seen
my
it.
honorable mentioned. Oh, dude, that's a good movie. So here's now these last two, Captain Phillips and the next one. I only seen them once. I only saw them once.
Yeah.
Sorry. Um, it's just getting late. Language and words are not working very well. The brain is starting to shut down. I'm
This is
like,
what happens when we
"What's
do the
it?"
opposite of what we.
That's when we do the late night show. No, the Captain Phillips is really, really good. And if I'd seen it more than once, like I only saw it once, it probably would. It might like it either equal or beat Man of Steel, because it's just a really good film. You have to watch it. And I can't remember the whole concept of the idea, but Captain Phillips, obviously Tom Hanks, is the captain of a ship. They get taken over by Somalian pirates, and then it's a whole cat and mouse, real high tension. You never know what's going to happen, right to like the last second till everything finally like gets resolved. But even in that last moment, it's just the tension is unbearable. The tension is almost unbearable. Uh, all I can remember is sitting, not even on the edge of my seat. I was like standing up, watching this film. It was at home. I wasn't at a theater. I was just like, oh! I saw this one at home
Oh, the
later
tension!
on. And I was literally out of my seat, like, just like, come on, get him. Like, and when you watch the movie, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But like the use of tension was just crazy. The story's great. The acting was fantastic. This is a must watch out of 2013. Captain Phillips. So literally, dude, put it on your list because this one is gold. This
Dude,
one's
it's been
gold.
on my list since 2013.
Good old Papa Tom Hanks there. Just, watch it. It's a really, really good film. But again, like I said, I only watched it once, so I kind of have the one memory. So I can't say it's my favorite of 2013, but it's just a really, really well made film. And then the last one was The Wolf of Wall Street, which is obviously
Still
another
haven't seen that one.
real. Oh, dude, come on, man, you're
It's
killing
so
me.
long.
So, like, other than Man of Steel, these are probably the two best films of 2013, hands down, easy. And arguably, they are better than Man of Steel. Again, I only saw them once, though, so I can't, like, for me, Man of Steel still wins. Because I've seen that multiple times. And had, like, plenty of time to think over it, where these two only saw once. But arguably, these are the two probably best films out of 2013. And Wolf of Wall Street is just a fantastic booze, drug filled, crazy ass ride that you just gotta be a part of. You just gotta experience that film, man. That's all I can say. You gotta experience it. I can't tell you about it. I can't really explain to you everything, but it's an experience in itself, and it is kind of long, if I remember correctly. It's not a
I think
super
it's like
short.
3
film,
hours or something like that.
it's pretty long, man, but it's
a
worth it.
Scorsese
It's
film.
great. It's great. It's a lot of fun. In kind of like a snort cocaine kind of fun, but it's great.
You heard it here, folks. Matt says that Wolf of Wall Street is like snorting cocaine.
That was 2013.
That was the good half of
Just
2013.
that was the good half of 2013. So like a whole ton of average movies, and then like two really really good ones, and yeah, Man of Steel as well, which was really good as well. But I think those other two arguably are probably better films. And when I say probably, I mean they are better films.
Yeah, but again, it comes down to personal preference at the end of the day, man.
Exactly. But yeah, okay, so that's our best of 2013. This is probably like the least interesting podcast we've ever made. We're like, yeah, it was okay. Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah,
Well,
it was okay. Yeah,
welcome
Superman.
to a feast of
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
Welcome to a feast of films at night.
Welcome to a feast of average films after we've worked all day and now have to think about things. It's hard. This is why we record first thing. But we're going to have to get used to these nighttime recordings, I think.
Feast of films
more common.
after hours.
After dark, the feast of films.
Is that where we talk about movies we can't talk about?
God, I hope not. That would be horrendous. Let's not.
I really like that part where her boobs were out. Oh.
Okay, so this funny side story. I just gotta tell it real quick before we get into the middle part. But I got so like we used to. There's this family friend of ours, and like she has like nephews that are about my age and my brother's age, so they would always like come in from Spiritwood, and we'd all like hang out for like a week or whatever. Right, it was a great time, and we'd always go down to like the Blockbuster at the end of Gray and get a movie and like pop that in and have like movie nights, right? So we all go down there, we pick out our movie, my mom picks a movie for us, and then we get back to the house and she's like, oh, let's watch my movie first. And we're like, come on, we want to watch the show, like whatever action movie it was that we picked out. But it's like, okay, my mom and her, Trona's there, so we'll watch like the family, type film. So then she like puts in the film, we got our popcorn, we got our drinks, lights are off, we're all in theater mode, and this film opens up with this chick just getting railed at the side of a car. And you're just and we're
What movie is this?
we're like freaking 10 or 11 or something, right? But we're still boys, so we're like, what the hell? This is freaking, what's going on? But this is pretty tight.
What
And then,
movie
like,
did they think this?
I will tell you in a sec.
I want to know now, Matt.
So
I want answers.
So we're like all watching this, like, what the hell? And my mom's like, maybe it'll be over soon. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then it just keeps going. And then, like, she didn't even stop it right away. Jordan's like, why are we watching this? Turn this off. So, like, basically what happened is my mom saw this, like, box, I don't know. It was called, like, Jack the Dog. And she thought it was, like, a family movie about, like, about a dog like named Jack, but it was actually about a guy going around just like railing chicks. Oh, it was so funny. Man, Ethan's gonna like Google it. I gotta see what this movie is, man. Feast of Films After Dark. But it was a long time ago. That was so funny. We were so young, and we still laugh about it all the time to this day. Like, remember when you got us that like porn flick, Phoebe? Oh,
Jack the Dog is a film that, yep, that's
what it is, right? And it's funny, like after all these years, I still remember the title of the movie because it was like just that like jarring. It was like, what is going on? The one time my mom got us a porno and thought it was a family movie. Oh, that was great. Welcome to a Feast of Films After Dark with Jack the Dog. Bam, bam, bam.
You'll that'll be your top movie of 2001.
Yeah, Jack the Dog, Ethan, my favorite film. All right, let's get it. Let's switch gears here. It's time for debate break. Today we are debating the best old Saturday morning cartoons. So going right back to the good old days when you used to wake up early on Saturday mornings, run to the TV, throw on the cartoons, and like hopefully your parents didn't wake up and make you do chores, and just enjoy some good old Saturday morning cartoons. Except this is with the exception of Looney Tunes, because we had already previously decided that is the king of Saturday morning cartoons and cannot be overthrown.
It was the best way to start the morning, and it was always, again, you can't really dethrone that one. So either it's a really short debate or we got to pick other cartoons.
And like that's what it comes down to. I have like so many great memories of watching Looney Tunes with my uncle as well. Because like when my mom, when she'd work like night shifts as like a nurse, we'd have to stay at my aunt's, right? Aunt and uncles, and like we'd always get up Saturday morning and he'd sit down there with me and we'd watch like Roadrunner and the Coyote and Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd. It was just so many great memories just busting a gut. So it was great.
I'd even watch it with my grandparents. This is like that's the other reason why it's like the king of Saturday morning cartoons is because it spanned generations. So it's one of those things that you can't really fight that one. That's an automatic surrender to whoever didn't pick it first.
Yeah, exactly. So we decided to pick other ones. So in my corner, I'm doing Spider-Man. The 90s one. No, early 2000s.
No, it was 94.
90s, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. That one. So the classic Saturday morning Spider-Man.
And I picked the winner of the debate. Batman the Animated Series, and I just feel like Matt, it's not much of a debate. This is gonna be a slaughter. So I'm sorry. You also picked the wrong person to debate this on.
Let the slaughter begin then. Listen, I let you pick first. I could have picked Batman. I would have picked Batman. Who knows?
I would have found a better cartoon.
Then Batman? Okay. Either way, Ethan's like, this is my jam. This is my debate.
Who wants to go first?
I guess rock, paper, scissors, man.
How do we do this again? We lifted it into frame?
Yep.
Okay,
ready? One, two,
three.
Three. Oh, tie. Okay, we both picked rock. One, two, three. Oh, we both picked paper.
All right.
One, two, three. Oh, we both picked paper again.
All right.
Battle of the minds here. Okay, one, two, three. Both pick paper again. This is rough, man.
Ready?
Yeah. One,
One,
two,
two,
three.
three.
Ah, yeah, I
There
got
was a
rock,
delay. You
son.
cheated. You
No,
cheated.
there was a delay on your end. Our
That was a
internet's
delay.
not very good.
So wait, did we decide
Oh,
who?
that means I get to decide who goes first. I
Oh, I
think I'll
thought.
take the first. I think I'll take the first round this time.
All right, I got you. It's 45 seconds we're going with, right?
Yeah, because I think we did the last time. There was you went first last round, so I'll start off this time.
All right.
And I agree. It may be a slaughter. We'll see. I wish I would have prepared a little bit better. I'm a little nervous, but
Who needs to prepare when you have your childhood memories?
there you go.
All right, 45 seconds on the clock, Matt. 3, 2, 1, and go.
All right, so my pick for Saturday morning cartoon was Spider Man. I guess I already told you that. Don't know why I'm repeating it. That's how much I got planned for today. Listen, this animated cartoon was classic Spider Man. This is why everyone loves Venom. This is why everyone loves Carnage. This is why everyone loves Green Goblin. And not everyone, but like the mainstream kids who didn't read comic books. This is how we first got introduced to Spider Man. It is part of our childhoods. It is that fantasy of swinging around the city and having all these great adventures, and it was just amazing. Where we first met Peter Parker and Aunt May and MJ. This is the Spider-Man that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is very much based off of. Classic Spider-Man. Okay, so that wasn't bad. I thought that point could have been worse.
Could have been better though, Matt. Could have been
Nostalgia, man. All right. 45 on the clock. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, Matt. So I'll agree with you that it's a pretty good adaptation of Spider-Man. I think it's a pretty good one. It's pretty solid. But you really want to argue against the best adaptation of Batman, universally loved by so many people through so many generations of Batman fans who love this interpretation of Batman. Honestly, it's one of the best. It's got one of the best voice actors. It's got some of the best stories and introduced new characters into the comics as well. It influenced characters' origins and changed them. This show was revolutionary and changed the shape of superhero TV shows as we knew it. I don't even need the full 45, man.
He's like, I already got it. Okay, now time. 45, 45, 45. Good, man. That's a good point. That's a good point. And no, I don't want to argue against it. I just, we don't have a choice. We got to pick what we pick. I'd let you pick first.
Hey, man, you chose this debate
All
thing.
right. Ready?
All right.
Wow, man. It was either between that or like, what is your favorite type of sock? So we had to, pick something.
That's a
good one.
Ankle,
We should do that
but
next
I do like
week.
printed. Yes.
All right. 45.
Ready,
Yeah.
Matt? All right, here you go. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Another really great thing about this Spider-Man animated series were the villains that it brought in. Like, Spider-Man has this great group of rogue gallery that definitely competes with Batman. It's great. You got Dr. Octopus, you have Hobgoblin, Green Goblin, all the other goblins, and then, the King Venom. This is where Venom first showed up for so many people. Not in the comics, but in the animated series. Then we are Venom. That whole story arc, that's why Venom's actually a movie right now, because of this animated series. So it definitely influenced the future of these great villains going forward.
And time.
That's it.
All right,
I ended
Matt.
that on like a high inflection, so it was more of a question, which was weird. But, yeah,
It
it
is
was
a
meant to be a
question,
statement.
Matt, it is a question, and I have an answer.
Batman. I am Batman.
We are Batman.
We are Batman.
Terrifying combination.
I would
Anyway,
love to see Venom and Bat. Actually, you know what, man? If Batman had a Venom, that'd be pretty tight. Not exactly the same, but like if Spider-Man didn't have Venom and Venom was instead like in Batman and was like this, that would actually be a pretty cool idea.
well, Matt, it technically is in the form of Bane.
In the form of Bane. Okay.
That's the formula he uses is called Venom.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Here we go. Ready? 45 on the clock and go.
Really, Matt? You're gonna bring up villains? You're gonna bring up villains and to talk about Batman? And
Yeah.
you listed 4 villains. You listed 4 of his villains. What Batman
Oh,
the
this is
Animated
like 5.
Series did with their villains and made some of the campiest, silliest villains actually a threat and terrifying, like the Mad Hatter, Scarecrow, Mr. Freeze. Like what they managed to do with those villains and what they managed to do to them in the comics and changed just our understanding of those villains. I don't know. I think it did way better than what Spider-Man did. Like, I don't know, man. It's a thicker roster too. Like, dude, there's Clock King. Why would you make a show about Clock King? But it works. It's one of the best episodes. The Riddler episode's also
And
amazing.
time. I don't disagree with you there. I think Batman's Rogue Gallery is just amazing.
can't
But I
beat
think
it.
when it comes to Marvel, when it comes to Marvel, I think Spider-Man has the strongest Rogue Gallery.
Oh,
Like,
hands
if
down,
anything,
he
like
does.
it's the
Yeah.
Batman of Marvel, right?
I love how this is
If we're
just
putting in that thing.
two fans, quote unquote, arguing about how great both these shows are.
Like, yeah, we're not even doing a very good job. We're like, these both are really
Yeah,
great.
this is great. I love it both. Yeah, it's wonderful.
All right, ready? Point 3.
All right, Matt. Ready?
45 on the clock.
All right, and 3, 2, 1.
The thing that I love the most, I think, about this whole Spider-Man series is how it has also these really deep cut stories. So the first, group of episodes, yeah, you're talking your basic villains, Green Goblin, Venom, Carnage, the other ones. But later on in the series, you get some really, really deep cuts. They even have a Spider-Verse episode. They got Madam Web. They got Secret Wars. Punisher shows up, Morbius shows up, so not only just your basic villains, but it also brings in a lot of weird, strange villains too. Dormammu's in there with Doctor Strange. Even before all these guys were popular, they were putting them in Spider-Man. So it's just props to this series for doing also those deep cuts and showing and introducing these characters to
And time.
morning watchers everywhere. Morning watchers.
Beware the morning watchers.
Where the morning watchers come.
All right. You got some points there. You got some solid points.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good point. All right, ready for 3?
I'm debating on where I want to go with this argument.
He's like, I have so many options.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I got a couple different ones. I've got to pick which one I want to go with. I'll go with that. I'll go with that one.
All right, 45 on the clock. 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm gonna derail a bit from what you were talking about with like different stories and stuff because I think I already covered that enough. That like there's a lot of really good new stories that they created for this, but I got to give a shout out to the voice cast and the voice direction to Batman the Animated Series, which is so much better than the Spider-Man animated series. The best character who's a voice actor in Spider-Man would be Peter Parker and J. Jonah Jameson. The rest are kind of like really overacting and hamming it up. The voice acting in Batman, you believe that you could see those characters in live action with those voices and they would just translate to real people. Right? So like to me the voice acting is just far superior in Batman the Animated Series, and I think that's another reason why it stands out above the Spider-Man one. Is that my 45 or do I got more?
Yeah, no, that's it. Actually, you went a little farther because I was thinking about it and not paying attention to the time.
I'm not wrong,
But it's a
am
good
I?
point, though. It's a good... I don't 100% agree with you because I think the voice acting in Spider-Man is also really well done, or else it wouldn't have lasted for so long.
It only lasted for 5 seasons, man.
Yeah, which is pretty good for, Saturday morning animated.
Very short seasons.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of episodes. It was fun. I had a great time with it.
So we have our
Closing
final
points. Yep.
30 seconds?
30 seconds. You betcha.
All right, Matt. Final 30 seconds. Ready?
You bet.
And go.
All right, so the Spider-Man animated series is just amazing. It's classic Spider-Man, a great adaptation of the character. It has so many various different villains, and then you got those deep cut stories that bring in even more villains from across the whole Marvel universe. It literally is the MCU in an animated version. Go watch it. It's the MCU and the Spider-Verse all in one. And also, really great voice acting. I'm pretty sure Mark Hamill is the Hobgoblin. Check it out. I'm pretty sure that's exactly who's on there. So they had some great actors as well.
Time. He is, but he's basically doing a Joker voice.
Yeah, pretty much, but
Yeah.
He's
And
still
also,
Hobgoblin.
crap, I can't remember. Like, I was listening to you, but I can't remember your first point because I just had a quick note on that, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, yeah. Not to mention like the crossovers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's super weird because like it crosses over with the X-Men show, which is a completely different art style.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And then even like same thing, they kind of cross over with the Fantastic Four show in '94, which also is completely different from what it was. But then like the closest one was the Iron Man show that was running at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's this weird. They totally had a weird like animated
MCU going on.
and
Yeah.
it makes zero sense when you watch them all together. It makes no sense at all because they shouldn't work together, but for some reason they just do. But I think that's because like the childhood excitement. But not to mention, I mean, like, but dude, at the end of the day, like, I'm just like, this isn't one of my points. This is just like whole total side talk. I mean, we got
Yeah.
the same kind of thing with the DC animated universe because we got the crossover Superman and then that
And
entire Justice
and
League
stuff.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't worry.
That
that's
was
not,
such a good show too. Yeah.
those aren't my points. That's not my final point because like I feel like that's a cheap shot because at the end of the day, all that stuff happened way after Spider-Man did that. Like those all happened like I think early 2000s where Spider-Man was wrapped up by like I think 97.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So like arguably in your favor it did lay the groundwork for those kind of shows being possible.
Yeah. There we
So,
go.
but
All right, you ready for
I
your
have-
final points?
Yes, and it is the greatest point. It is the best point.
Okay.
It is the
30
point
se-
to end all points.
30 seconds on the clock and go.
The art direction and art style alone defines this show and makes it so much better than Spider-Man. If you go back and watch Spider-Man, the animation's kind of choppy, it's kind of weird. There's the weird CG stuff in it that doesn't really land. They actually animated Batman on black paper. That's how it got so dark, is they actually worked from black paper and lightened things up rather than going from white paper and trying to darken it. Like, it totally revolutionized that whole idea of that as well. So, like, just the art style and the art deco, the design
time.
is amazing. Oh, and they weren't afraid to use guns.
They had guns in Spider-Man, didn't
They
they?
had laser guns in Spider-Man because they couldn't have real guns.
Oh, the 90s were a weird time.
It was a
man.
weird time. But
It
Batman
was
got
a
away
weird
with it.
time.
Batman found a loophole because they're like, no, we want this to be like kind of period pieces. So like we're gonna.
Oh, yeah, that would work. Well, you
So
can have
Matt-
the Waynes killed by a laser gun. That's not.
Pew pew.
That'd be pretty lame, man. Unless it's like Darth Vader and a lightsaber. Like, oh my god. No, I am your father. What is going on? The crossover to end all crossovers.
No, I'm Martha.
I am Martha. No! Wow, what a twist that would have been on Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
Darth Vader shows up and he's like, no, I am Martha.
Well, now I just have to question everything.
So,
Matt-
what are we doing?
So Matt, how do you think that went? How do you think that went for you?
I think I did pretty well because I think the animated Spider-Man, ultimately at the end of the day, really does speak for itself and holds its ground pretty good. Because it was earlier than the Batman series, not by a
No,
lot,
it wasn't.
but a little bit earlier.
Batman came out before.
Did it?
Batman came out in 1992.
Yeah, well, shut up. Okay, anyway, the point is, like, now that I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it did. Yeah, it's a bitch. The point is, I
They're
think
both
Spider-Man.
enjoyable.
I think Spider-Man holds its own too, right? Like, obviously, you got Looney Tunes, you got Batman, but like Spider-Man's right up there too, and there's just so many great childhood memories. But I
think it is.
will concede. And no matter what anyone else thinks, if you're with me on a Spider-Man, I would give the win to Batman, and I'm okay because I won peanut M&Ms last week, so I'm cool.
One person agreeing with you does not mean you won.
When it's the only other person agreeing with me, that's 2-1, homie. You lose. The
I still
math
think-
is there.
I still think my combo of peanut M&Ms and nachos counts, and I think I still won.
No, you did not win. Anyway, no, you definitely win this time. Batman it's a great animated series. It's iconic, right? It doesn't matter how far back you go. It's an iconic series that's never been done again. No animated series has never been as good as the Batman animated series. And even that Spider-Man series, I'd argue with that too. Like even the other new series that have come out since then are nowhere near as good as that series was.
No, and like you're not wrong there. But like I think there's been better adaptations since though.
Like in movies or like in the animated.
Movies, video games, that kind of stuff.
Oh well, sure. There's always better. There's always new and different adaptations, and
Apparently
that's a very personal
spectacular. Apparently
preference as well.
spectacular Spider-Man's really good.
That one wasn't bad. That one wasn't bad. I still
still
like
have
the
to watch
'90s
it.
one better, but that one wasn't bad. Spectacular Spider-Man.
Um,
That was also one that was.
I'm
on.
actually showing. I'm in the middle of showing Prosser the 2005. I think 2005, maybe 2003. The 2000s Batman show, like the Batman
Yeah.
that no one remembers. And like we watched the first 2 episodes, and man, look, it's a good interpretation of Batman, and it's so completely different from the animated series that I just think people overlooked it, and they really shouldn't because like it's its own different new thing,
The
and it
Batman.
works. It works really well. Like I'm enjoying it.
And that's like the best part, I think, at the end of the day when you're talking, especially these comic book characters and like all the animated series they get. Like with each new adaptation comes something always different. Like maybe they're not like as a whole package better than the ones that came before, but they definitely all have elements that are either superior or just as good.
Well,
Like
like
maybe the
if
whole
you ask,
package itself isn't as great, but they always come with something. They're always adding something to the mythos and to the overall idea of who these characters are.
I guarantee you, if you ask someone from like even a bit older than us, they'd be like, "Oh no, the 1960s, that was the best Spider-Man." Right? Like, or
Yeah, exactly.
Adam
Yeah.
West Batman was the
I
best
used to watch
Batman.
that
Like,
on tele. I I used to watch that '60s one on Teletoon Retro.
me
Now I'm
too.
pretty sure the '90s one is probably on Teletoon Retro. And I'm like,
Isn't that a scary thought?
oh. Yeah, I hate when the shows I watched as a kid are on Teletoon Retro. I'm like, what the hell? Like, oh, we're not that old. Calm
Dude,
down there,
I
Teletoon.
can't
Calm
believe
down.
we didn't even touch on the music. I'm upset at myself because like the
Yeah,
music to the
that's true. We didn't. Yeah.
but like so here's the fun thing with like so like I'm just gonna talk about this. This isn't part of the debate. But so Batman had a completely new score. Like everything was like scored brand new, all that kind of stuff. Um, the production company that made the Spider-Man show was the same one that you made Digimon.
Oh, okay.
So you can actually hear some of the music cues from Spider-Man in Digimon.
Interesting.
It's kind of hilarious. I was watching
Huh.
both. I'm like, that sounds very familiar. Like the ba 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 scary music. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, that's just Spider-Man. That's just okay. All
Just
right.
real cheap, eh? Like,
Yeah,
ah,
man.
man, save a buck.
But no, it's like, man, just the music in those shows too, and just, man, just good cartoons. Cartoons. This has been a nice break from us talking about the sad year that.
The drab year of 2013. No, this was great. And at the end of the day, like, whether you say Batman or Spider-Man, whether you say Batman or Spider-Man, the point is, if you're around our age, getting close to those 30s, you know, maybe just above, maybe still below, listen, we grew up in like the golden age of Saturday morning cartoons. We
Oh
really
yeah,
did. Like the cartoons kids have nowadays for Saturday mornings, I've watched them like, what is this ain't
yeah.
the same. And
Shows
sometimes
like
they
the
have
Lion Guard.
yeah, like just terrible. The Lion Guard. It's man. I actually saw an episode that I think was later on in the series. And I was like, okay, so that wasn't as dumb. It looks actually somewhat
But is
decent.
it as
So
good
I
as
think it
Timon and
improved.
Pumbaa?
Who knows? I haven't watched enough of it to know. But the point is, most of the shows that are even on Saturday mornings for kids nowadays are kind of like cheaper, worse versions than what we had as kids. But
Yep.
we definitely grew up in the golden age. Like we had Batman, Spider-Man, Looney Tunes, like classic Looney Tunes, not like, you know, like the newer stuff, which is also not as good.
You remember that weird
Men in
superhero?
Black, Godzilla,
You remember that weird? There's that Looney Tunes. I can't remember what it was
Batman
called, but
Beyond. Oh my god, Batman
um,
Beyond.
there was a Looney Tunes show where it's basically set in the future, and the descendants of the Looney Tunes had superpowers. And I
That
can't
sounds
remember.
vaguely familiar.
I can't remember what it's called for the life of me.
Sounds vaguely familiar. Yeah, I couldn't tell you what it's called either.
Um, superheroes. Lunatics Unleashed.
Lunatics Unleashed. Nice.
Yeah, like they. I don't know if you can. Does that ring a bell at all?
Not really. I
That's
don't know if I seen that or not.
Yeah, no, it was a weird show where it was like their descendants, but they had like superpowers, and it was just super weird. But it was just like, man, the 2000s had a wild time with cartoons because they just
Yeah.
took everything that the 90s did and they like added cocaine to it.
Pretty much, right? They're like, let's just add a bit more cocaine and we'll be good to go.
Yeah,
It'll
they
be
just
an
made
exciting
everything.
time.
They took extreme and then made it too extreme that it wasn't extreme anymore, and it just was weird. But like,
Yeah, yeah. Like, let's
still
bring it back,
fun.
guys. No, it was great. And I just, yeah, I loved our Saturday morning cartoons, man. They were so, so, so good.
So Matt,
All right, let's get
you
back
wanna
to the
lead the
drab
way
year that
into
is 2013.
you want to lead the
The
worst films?
worst films. Yeah, this is. I don't even have that many either because, like, 2013, like I said, like, barely. It didn't even, create an emotional negative response to so many films that I watched. It was just like, yeah, it was okay. It
It
was just
existed. It existed
blah.
as a year.
Yeah, blah. So my worst film of 2013 is movie 43. Have you ever seen this film?
Yes,
Yeah.
I didn't hate it.
I was like, there's so
It
many things that I saw in that movie that was like, this is just wrong. It was so strange.
the
I mean, it was
funniest.
interesting, and maybe a lot of people find that funny, but there was just some things in me that was just too far. Like I think it was one of the later, because what this film is, I I put a note here, just an abomination of a film because it's just a mess. It's all over the place, man. It's like, let's take everything and put it together. Like, it's a series of skits, more or less. It's
Yeah,
not even like a whole, like, it's not a full narrative from beginning to end kind of thing. It's like a series of really weird skits. Like, Hugh Jackman is there, but he has a ball sack for a chin, like literal sack. Like, he has a scarf over it, and it, like,
you say he's a
dips in his
Balchinian.
it dips in his soup and stuff. It was weird, man. Like, it was strange. But the one at the end where that cat's in love with the guy, I think it was like Josh. Was it Josh Dumel who was playing?
I don't think I made it that far.
Oh, you didn't watch the whole thing. So it gets really weird. Even the closer to the end you get, the weirder this show gets. It starts off kind of funny, but then once you get close to the end, it's very strange. Um, but yeah, and it's like this cartoon animated cat that's like in love, and I think it's Josh Duhamel. I'm not exactly remember who the actor is.
Yeah, he was a
And
heartthrob of 2013.
and like, yeah, literally, like, I can't remember, like, murders or like beats up his girlfriend. Like, but the cat's really creepy. Like, and it does really like weird sexual things. Like, it's a cartoon, but it's like jerking off in a corner. Like, it's just really disturbing. So at this point in the film, you're just like, why am I still watching this?
I want to say I ended up
And
just fast forwarding to get all the
uh,
Dennis Quaid stuff because that's the stuff I enjoyed was
oh,
him trying to
like,
pitch the absurd
right,
movies
right, yes. So, like, yeah, weaving through all these things is Dennis Quaid at
with an
a and what
emo
he's
haircut.
actually, yes, and he's actually at a studio interview, more or less, somewhat, um, trying to pitch films, and these are the films he's pitching. So, like, I guess it does have a through narrative, but it's an abomination of a film. And I guess it was just people having fun with really weird movies. And maybe these were just like a lot of weird scripts that people had gone from actual people, who knows? And then they just made shorts of them. Like, this is the ridiculous shit we get on a daily basis. Maybe. I don't know where these ideas came from, but
That's not how it was marketed though. It
it
was
was
not marketed
strange.
like this.
It was strange. I don't remember the marketing at all. I didn't watch it in
It was
2013 either. It was
it was,
definitely after that. But
it was
it's
marketed
just
as
like,
this big
what
budget
is this?
it was marketed as a big budget comedy with a bunch of celebrities. That's what it was marketed
Well,
as, but
yeah,
they
because
didn't
it
give
has
any.
like everybody in it. Yeah, like everyone and their dog is in there. It's an abomination of a film. And it honestly just, like, it takes a lot to make me feel like not uncomfortable, but you're just like, this is strange.
Why would anyone pay money for this?
Like, why would anyone make this? And like, what mind came up with, like, that's weird. And I think a lot of, like, I come up with weird shit all the time. But this was just like,
Did you
what?
Do you have any other dishonorable mentions, or do you still have more
Yeah, I
feelings
have
on movie
no.
43?
I'm pretty much done movie 43. It was horrendous, abomination. Don't watch it.
I get
And,
it.
and if you want to watch it, I mean, go for it. But like, I can't say you're gonna feel good once
He
it's
warned
over.
you.
I did honestly. It's like when you know you shouldn't eat something, but then you like eat it anyway. Like if you eat a bunch of fast food, and like you think at the beginning this is gonna make me feel pretty good, but then at the end you're like, I feel way worse. That's movie 43, man.
That literally happened this week. I ate way too much food, and the next day I'm like, I think I'm gonna throw up. I ate food yesterday. Why am I gonna throw up today?
Why am I still sick today? Yeah, that's
I
movie 43. That's the experience you'll get. The
I'm at
next
a
day
point
you'll be
where
like, I'm gonna throw up.
if I eat fast food, like too much fast food in one day, I don't have to eat the second day because I'm still digesting it. That is the point I'm
Oh
at in my
wow.
life. It's pretty rough, man. It's like
That is
it's
pretty
not
rough.
a great time.
What
It's
are you, like 65, man? Get some Metamucil up in there.
no, I'm too young for that. My coworkers think that I'm young. They don't think I'm almost 30.
Oh,
I have to
man.
remind people on a regular basis that I'm like 29 and that I turned 30 in like less than 6 months. And they're like, or no, not less than
Don't
6
remind
months.
me.
And they're like, what do you mean you're 30? And I'm like, yeah, I'm 30. And they're like, you don't look or act 30. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that and run with it.
Oh,
where I'm at in
man.
my life, I'm good with that. I don't need to be 30.
When I was working at a place with, like younger kids, and I was like, the one time I can't remember, someone was trying to fix them with duct tape. I was like, good old red green. If they don't find you handsome, at least they'll find you handy. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? I was like, you don't know the red green show? Come on. Like, they just no clue. I was like, I hate kids.
They don't
I was like, that makes me feel old.
If it makes you feel any better, ladies don't find me either of those things.
Handsome or handy.
They just find
Anyway.
me and then they run away.
They just find me and they're like, I'm out.
Oh,
Oh shit. Okay.
it's you.
Yeah, I'm out of here. Oh
And
man.
I just forgot something in my car. It's that scene from The Office where like Creed's like, I need to go and get something from my car.
Oh
That's
yeah,
exactly what happens to me.
I'll be right back.
I'll be right back, and then I never see them again.
And then they just run off.
They just run away.
Man. Okay, let me
That's-
just settle in here, boss, and I'll be right
Oh.
back. Just leaves. Oh man.
We
Okay,
had a murder, sir, and you are the suspect.
and you was okay. Let me just settle. He's just like,
So
in that
great.
line, there's been a murder in Savannah. That's honestly one of my favorite episodes. Okay,
It's so good.
It's such a great episode. But instead, I get distracted. I'm gonna go back to my dishonorable mentions. Or else we're gonna go into an Office tangent for the next half hour, which honestly would
Wait.
be far more enjoyable than talking
What year did
about
The Office end in?
2013.
What
What year
The
did it
Office
end?
Yeah,
I don't know.
because if it
Too
ended
long
in,
ago.
if it ended in 2013, I will allow that to be one of your dishonorable mentions.
But it's not a dishonorable mention.
Yeah, no, it ended in 2013.
Oh, the fact that it ended in 2013 is
Yeah,
dishonorable. It
That's what I'm
should've
saying. I'll allow season 9 to be one of your dishonorable mentions this time.
Man, that's hilarious. Honestly, I love The Office. And the last season was the last season was better than season 8. Season 8 was definitely like, after Michael left, obviously they had some rough patches trying to figure out who should lead the show. And clearly it should have been like Jim and Dwight. They should have been the co-leads, but then they're like Andy because The Hangover. And it was like, Ed Helms is not a lead man, and that's where their problem really was.
I think if they would have stuck the landing with his character and would have actually made his character have a growth as opposed to just reverting back to season 3, then it would have been better. It would have actually resolved better. But they just reset his character to be like the douchebag.
Oh, he was just a total dick
like,
again by the end.
And at least in season 8 he was trying. He was trying to, you could tell he was struggling trying to fill Michael's shoes.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know, make him succeed at that. Give him some kind of reward and some arc as opposed to like, nope, season 3 Andy all over again.
Yeah, I didn't like his. I just never liked his character. Like I honestly like
That's
Ed
where
Helms
I
is
think they
okay in
could've-
certain things, but I don't really like him. Like I don't really like. I'm not a huge fan of Ed Helms. At the end of the day, he's an okay supporting actor, but like to lead things, I'm like, nah, I'm good.
But that's
And I
it,
kind
dude.
of feel bad about that because I have nothing like personally. I think he seems like a pretty great guy. I just like his just acting and like because his characters all feel like the same dude to me. So it just
Yeah.
it doesn't work. Like because the one character doesn't work. If all your characters are pretty much the same dude, it all ain't gonna work.
No, I dig
Actually,
that,
he was
man.
pretty good in Tag. He was pretty good in Tag. But that
That's
again,
one I
that was an
still got to see.
ensemble cast. That was an ensemble cast. But
That's one I
anyway,
got to see.
not to get
So
distracted.
back to bad movies
Back
of
to
2013.
dishonorable. Yeah, back to bad movies. Talk about The Office forever, man. Oh my gosh. Okay, A Good Day to Die Hard. That was a terrible film.
Dude, I didn't even bother with it, man.
I
didn't
did
even.
like. Here's the thing. Like, Live Free and Die Hard.
It was fun. It was.
I actually enjoyed that film, and it,
Mhm.
like again, you're getting Die Hard back after a hiatus. I get everyone's like, it's not as good as the original. The original's a dude walking around no shoes and glass, just a regular guy. Now he's throwing bites from people. That's what makes it terrible. And I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying, but you know the whole Die Hard series is all about escalation.
Oh
Every
yeah.
movie is about escalation. Even in the titles, it's about escalation. Like that's the whole thing, right? So, like, that's just the natural next step. So, I'm cool
Oh,
with that.
completely.
And I actually enjoyed it. It was really fun. Justin Long was great
Yep.
as, like, a supporting character, like, right alongside John McClane, Bruce Willis in that film. Like, it was a really fun
It
way to
was
do
really
it.
good. I
And you had,
enjoyed it.
like, the tech stuff going on. It was very current. It was very modern. It made sense. It was fun. So, I was excited for A Good Day to Die Hard. I was like, I'm
You
ready for
poor,
another
poor
round.
man.
And then it was just so bad. It was so, dude, there weren't even moments in that movie. There was one moment at the end. I was like, there's nothing that happens in this movie where I feel like he's dying hard. Like he's hard to kill right now. Because, like, there's nothing that happens in that film that's even remotely, like, could kill him. Like,
No, it
in the
was all
fourth one,
dude.
he is dodging death by, like, ridiculous amounts of, like, barely, like, a normal person clearly would have been dead. But still, he's hard to kill. And they did that
The
a
whole
ton in number 4. Number 5, there was one thing at the very end where I was like, maybe that could have killed him. But it was like this the story was bad, the action was bad, the die harding was bad. It just was
the
not a
whole
good film.
point of 5 was to set up a new series with his son. Because
Yeah,
that's what
and
everyone
his
was trying
son
to
was
do with
not that
dude,
entertaining
that's what
either.
everyone's been trying to do with Jai Courtney, and I feel so bad for him because he's not a bad actor. Like, honestly, like I don't like Suicide Squad, but him as Captain Boomerang, he was fun to watch.
He worked pretty good, yeah.
But then they tried it's this and Terminator. They both tried to get him to like carry on the legacy because they had him as Kyle Reese in Terminator Genesis, and like he wasn't great
Okay,
in
I
that.
didn't see that.
Like I've watched him in things where I've really liked him, but then they keep putting him in these movies trying to be like, let's carry on this action sequence or action series
Legacy
with you.
or whatever, yeah.
And dude, I'm so over legacy movies. I'm so like it's a whole new thing I've realized about myself this last week. Is just like I want to play in some of these universes, I really do, but at the same time, I'd rather just make new stuff because
They're great as they are, right? Like why
well, at the end of the
add to
day,
them?
the problem with legacy films is you're also contending with one other major factor, and that's the fans.
Yeah.
And that's where it's almost a safer bet to create new IP because you can't really make fans upset over a series that didn't exist.
That doesn't have fans.
Right?
Yeah. Like, God damn, I pissed
So-
off all my fans. What fans? Oh, that's right. I didn't piss off any of them. Perfect.
That's what. Did I tell you we had a guy come in to our store to complain about my movie?
Okay, what?
We had a guy. We sell physical copies of Damned Rights in our store,
Oh, okay.
and we had a guy come in to.
And he bought a copy?
He had bought a copy.
So you've
And-
sold a movie. Good job.
Yeah, we've sold. Just in the store, we've sold 9 copies. We've
Cool.
sold probably about 6 or 7 online. Anyone who donated money to it also got
Got a
free copies
copy.
online. And I've sold a couple copies to coworkers as well.
Nice.
And we're gonna sell 7 more actually, because we had a request from one of our actors to get 7 copies for their friends. So we sold a decent amount, which is kind of nice. Especially we were expecting to sell none, so like
Yeah.
that's a nice thing.
So a bunch
Um,
is better
this
than
guy,
zero.
But this guy buys it, and then comes back to find me. I'm not working this day, but he comes back to find me to complain about our movie to me. And like my boss tells me and I
And he
told
knows you're
told
in the movie, right? Like he's not
oh
just
yeah.
dumb.
No,
Okay, okay.
he came in and he asked, "Hey,
Specifically looking for you.
is the guy who made the movie in today?"
Yeah.
And like it's actually one of the greatest things. This is pre-COVID when I didn't have my face covered up. One of the greatest things ever is having the movie like on the till right beside me, and like people would just shoot a double take and be like, "Is this you? Is this you on the cover?" And I'm
Are
like,
you on
"Yes,
this
that's
film?
me."
Yeah, this is my movie.
But no, yeah, he came in to complain, and we found out, and our reaction was like, "Oh my goodness, we have a fan! We have a fan! Someone who's complaining about what we did. That's great." And he hasn't been back since.
That's the best reaction. What was his complaint though? Did they actually? Did you ever find out?
He's one of them was that his the audio didn't sync up properly to him, which is a weird complaint because like it does. There's just like one or two moments where it looks like it doesn't because that's how the dubbing worked. And again, we had to dub the whole film over again. But no,
Yeah.
my friend backed me up a bit and basically told him is like, so if if it's positive feedback, he'd probably be more than welcome to listen to it. But if it's negative and if it's you just being rude about it, you might want to keep that to yourself. But like if it's constructive criticism, I'm in, and she told him that.
Yeah, yeah.
And he hasn't been back.
He's like, this is just shit. I just want to shit all over this movie.
That's
well,
fine.
you
If
know,
you want to
gotta,
take the time out of your day to drive out to my like I work in a remote location.
Yeah.
So if you want to take the time to drive 20 minutes just to get to my store to complain about my movie, like all power to you, but what do you have going on in your life?
But here's the thing, man. Your movie at least created enough of an emotional reaction that he feels compelled to do that. So that's a good thing. Better than
exactly.
no emotional reaction.
Exactly.
It's like haters online, man. If they're spending time watching your stuff so they can come to complain, it's like, okay, but you like watching my stuff because you keep coming back to complain.
No, that's
or
exactly
you like
how we're looking
Either way,
at it.
you're watching my shit. That's great. Yeah, that's great.
Exactly how we look at it, man.
Good on you, man. Good on you. And then my last dishonorable mention, Thor: The Dark World. I really don't like that film. It's actually funny because Thor and Iron Man 3 came out that year. And like two of the most mediocre MCU movies at the end of the day for me.
Yeah, I can agree.
Actually, like, so, but my response to them has changed so significantly and drastically. It's hilarious. Because when I saw Iron Man 3 in theaters, I absolutely, like, that movie pissed me off. Like, I was so hyped for Ben Kingsley's Mandarin, man. He looks he looks so savage, right? And then they do the switcheroo, but not even with like a good, like, it wasn't even a good villain. Like, he's not that interesting. Like, whatever his face was, Aldrich Killian, wasn't even that interesting of a villain. So they switched out something that could be a potentially iconic villain. Like, you got Ben Kingsley playing the Mandarin. That is screaming the iconic version of that character, right? I was like, when I was watching the trailers, all I could think of is like, oh my god, this is like their version of Heath Ledger's Joker. This guy's gonna be iconic.
They're doing it
as this character. And then there's like, psych, oh, my name's Trevor. I'm actually an actor. Like, my name's Trevor Slattery. Like, it was just like so bad. So coming out of that movie, I absolutely hated it. I went to see Thor: The Dark World in theaters, and I came out of it loving it. Because, like, this movie lied to me so many times, and I loved it. Like, how many times I think Thor was going to die, or something was the way it wasn't. But it's like Loki magic, or whatever else happened. I was like, hilarious. It was great. Had a lot of fun. I watched Iron Man 3 a second time, and I was like, you know what? Getting past that whole thing, this is actually a pretty good movie. Like, in general, it's a pretty decent film. It's okay. I actually kind of like this one. I watched Thor a second time. Couldn't stand this. I was like, oh, I am so bored right now. I am so bored. Like, in the theaters, to me, it was so interesting. Maybe because you don't know what's actually always happening. It was the first
watch through, yeah.
So it's the first watch through, so that's where that worked. But it doesn't hold up on a second watch through. And then even at the end, like, for me, coming out of the theaters, I was like, man, that ending, it felt like Avengers, but on a smaller scale. It was crazy. Mm-hmm. And then I watched it a second time. I was like, this feels nothing like what I remember it feeling like at all. Like, it just didn't feel like Avengers. It feels like people running around with sticks and turning knobs with like 3 aliens chase them. It was like, or 3 dark elves. Sorry, not dark elves.
Yeah.
But like, so at the end of the day, it's just funny how, because my feeling on them on watching the first time and the second time or times after that completely has flipped.
But both of them are
So,
still not great.
but like, yeah, Iron Man 3 still, like, it's pretty good, but it's not great. Like, it still has that big thing on its shoulders. And then Thor the Dark World is just not good. Like, it has a lot of problems and it doesn't hold up. The first viewing, sure, that was one thing. But anytime after that, I'm like, man, this movie doesn't hold up as a good film. So
Honestly,
it's probably the
I'm
weakest of the MCU.
I'm neutral to both of them. Like I don't love them, but I don't hate them. I think that they're Marvel films. Like at the end of the day, the worst Marvel film is still a pretty good movie. Like at the end of the day, these two would be if these two are
like,
the worst,
for sure, yeah.
they're still good. They're just not Marvel good.
They're just not great.
This is gonna be a drive by, but like, hey Matt, they're just DC good. That's what they are. They're just...
They're just like DC in the middle of
Actually,
it, not knowing
no.
what the hell is going on.
If you had to choose between watching Suicide Squad and Thor: Dark World, what would you watch?
Yeah, that's actually a really good because both of them are very similar. First view through, I was like, interesting. Second view through, I was like, this does not hold up. Honestly, I would still probably watch Thor though, because I just like Thor as a character and his world is far more interesting. Suicide Squad was just boring.
You missed the third answer, which is I'll pick a different movie.
Oh, that's actually a better choice. I like that choice. It was a secret choice, but it was good. No, that's a bit. I'll just watch Infinity War. Thanks, guys. DC. I kind of want to get back to it. And going back to Man of Steel a bit. It may just bums me out that Henry Cavill probably isn't Superman anymore, or they don't have plans for it. It's still up in the air. They haven't really confirmed.
Apparently,
or not confirmed.
Batfleck's back.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And the Robert Pattinson one might become a prequel to Ben Affleck's Batman.
You know, if Snyder
Dude, it's a
comes
mess.
out, it could change everything. Who knows what could happen? Yeah.
I've reached a point where I've stopped caring about superhero news. I'm just gonna let it happen, and I'm out. I'll watch the movies. I'm done with rumors. I'm done with speculation. I'm done with waiting. I'll sit calmly and patiently. I'll let the movies come out. I have bigger things in my life that I need to worry about and focus on.
True that,
and that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where I'm at with them. Like, let them happen. Same thing with Star Wars, big franchise. Let them happen, but wasting my energy on being being upset about it. Just like
I just wish Henry Cavill had like another chance to be Superman because
I want to see him be Superman.
He's such a great actor and he could totally just own that role. And like now where the character is, he is at the like character development stage where now he is the Superman that everybody wanted. And I think Henry Cavill would again do a fantastic job. So I really hope he gets a chance. Even Batfleck was good. Like Ben Affleck is Batman, not so much in Justice League, but again, that was one of the highlights of Batman v Superman was his Batman, and the interpretation of it was great.
He looks like the animated Bruce Wayne, like from the animated series.
Very similar.
He looks. Yeah. If you look at a picture of Ben Affleck's Batman and then of like the drawing, like you can see, it's weird. It's weird, but it's cool, man. I liked Batfleck. I was a fan, so I'd be fine if he came back.
Yeah.
It's just confusing. But
that whole thing's confusing. Who knows what's going on? But anyway, those are my worst films 2013. Movie 43, an abomination. Don't watch it. And dishonorable mentions, A Good Day to Die Hard, and Thor the Dark World. I think arguably Thor the Dark World is the best out of those three, for sure. Like, not even a doubt. Not even a doubt. But, okay, to you. Worst films of 2013.
Mine is actually set up for the next episode.
Ooh.
We're going to actually do a bit of a sneak peek into the next episode.
A sneak peek into episode 14.
Both of mine are adaptations. And both of mine are terrible adaptations. Like, awful. Like, not good. Not good in the slightest. And I'll go with the first one because I actually finished the first one.
Fair enough.
I'll go with the first one first, and that was World War Z. And you've heard me talk about World War Z. The zombie media question, the book is amazing. The audiobook's amazing.
Yeah.
The movie isn't even a zombie movie. It's not. It's I don't know what it is. It's a mess. It's dumb. Brad Pitt's okay in it. I can't remember anyone else in it. The plot makes no sense. The zombies are stupid, and they work like ants, but they don't really. And they it's not. It makes me mad. It makes me really mad. It makes me really upset, and I'm not the only one. There's a lot of us. How do you mess this up? The book lines out everything so nicely. You could have picked any one of those stories to adapt. Any single one of those stories to adapt from the book, and they didn't. They just
Did their own random ass thing.
and then threw the title on, was like, by the way, guys, this hit series just came out. You should totally watch our movie because the book. And
Yeah.
no, it was so bad. It is, and like once again, even like because I want to say I watched the movie before I read the book, and the movie was bad. If the movie was good on its own legs, then I could be more on board with it. But the movie was bad.
But just as a film.
Well, they didn't have the involvement of the original writer. They didn't have him part of it at all. He was going to be, and then they just kind of like.
No, we're good. We got this. And they're like, oh, we don't got this.
And they made a bad, quote unquote, zombie movie. Like, it was just not. And that's a problem with adaptations, which we're going to get into more of next week. Yes. However, I'm going to talk about my second pick, which is a movie I've never been able to finish. I've tried watching it 3 times, and I've never finished it. And that's The Lone Ranger.
Oh, I never watched that. It looked dumb.
So, I grew up watching and listening to The Lone Ranger from, like, the 1940s and 50s. Like, my parents bought me some radio shows on tape. My grandparents had VHS tapes of the old show.
Oh, okay.
I even watched a few different adaptations of, like, different movies and stuff like that, too. I love the Lone Ranger as a character. I love the concept of his character. I think he's a really strong character that you could do some really interesting stuff with. However, they did whatever that movie was, and for some reason Johnny Depp is Tonto, which is just, that's problematic in himself. I don't care if he's one. You can sit here and be like, well, he's 1/16. No, there are plenty great, amazing First Nations actors that you could cast to play Tonto. And it would be great. It would be amazing. It would be wonderful. But no. They went with Johnny Depp because I'm Pirates of the Caribbean.
Because I'm Captain Jack Sparrow.
And I like him as Captain Jack Sparrow, but that doesn't mean he needs to be in every movie ever.
Yeah, any slightly weird character.
The Lone Ranger also has very specific rules to his character that the creator outlined to make, like, basically this is what you have to do if you're making a Lone Ranger thing. And right. They've bent it a little bit in previous adaptations. One is you're never supposed to see the Lone Ranger's face without the mask on. And the original actor took this as far as, like, he actually would wear the mask out in public, so if any kids saw him, it wouldn't ruin the illusion for them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then the guy who owned the rights to the Lone Ranger sued him, being like, you can't wear the mask, that's my character, you can't do that. So he started wearing big aviators to cover the face, to stop, like, to make sure that, again, that illusion wasn't ruined for the kids. And that's great. I think that's amazing, and I think that's a really notable understanding.
That's a character move.
That's somebody understanding that this character... No, but it is, though. I'll just to...
It's both. It's okay, fair enough, yeah.
Because...
I get you saying.
Because it's someone who understands that the character and the property is bigger than their own ego.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I just... Mad respect to that. And, like, there's that. He doesn't kill. That's another thing. He doesn't kill, but in this movie, I'm pretty sure in the first 20 minutes, he kills people.
He's just murdering everyone.
Maybe I'm wrong, but again, dude, like, it's just, they took this really cool, should have been a Western and made it this weird CG, super expensive action movie that it shouldn't have been. It's the same thing, like, I have similar complaints with Green Hornet, but I'll wait until we get to that year, whenever Green Hornet came out.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was okay. It wasn't, yeah.
I have feelings. And so does Seth Rogen, which is a whole thing. But, like, we'll get into that. But specifically with the Lone Ranger, man, like, it's one that as an adaptation that was near and dear to my heart. I can't stomach it. I can't sit through it because it is that. It's a massive disrespect to the series. It's literally just taking the characters, taking the name, and being like, you know what? It's a western. We'll put it in the Wild West. Good enough. That's all we need to do.
Nothing else
Money.
has to like look the same or feel the same at all.
And then it flops, and they're like, but why did it flop? And it's like, maybe because it was a bad movie.
Yeah.
No, that can't be it. That can't be.
It's definitely not that.
And like, it's just, I don't understand. Adaptation shouldn't be this hard. It should not be this hard to adapt something, but it is because everyone's like, I have a unique vision, and it's like, okay, then why don't you make something original with that unique vision? And they're like, no, I'm gonna do this thing instead because I like messing with people's properties.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take these. It's like going into someone's sandbox as a kid, playing with their toys, and then just like melting them down and making
And lighting
your
them
own
on fire.
toys out of
Yeah,
them.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say that.
And it's like, but
This
don't
is
you
my
understand
toenail.
what I'm doing with this? Isn't it great? It's on fire. And it's like, no.
It's not a shovel now. It's now a fire shovel, and it's
And-
mine. Okay.
I don't know fully what we're going to be talking about with adaptations.
Oh, I'm sure we can talk about
But-
plenty, but like,
Oh,
But
I have thoughts, I have feelings, and
I
this
mean,
is just the
like,
tip of the iceberg, man.
the most important thing too, like when you're talking about adaptations, like, and again, I'm sure we'll talk about this tons next week, is just like, man, you gotta have the soul of the franchise. You gotta have the soul of the IP. Like, you can change the look, you can change designs, like those type of things. That's okay. But when you're missing
have
like
a
the
heart.
core components, the heart, the soul of the idea, then like now you're in trouble. Now you're in trouble,
Well,
and
that's-
no amount of CGI is gonna save you.
Not to, not to go back to like me trying to talk bad about Man of Steel, but that is a lot of what people had a problem with Man of Steel. Was that it was missing that heart of that character that they knew. But also, and that's why I'm more kind of curious
I could
talking
see
about
that.
this with you.
I can understand that, I guess.
But even talking to you, I can kind of see where you're coming from, where it's like, but he was gonna get to that point, and he should have got to that
and,
point.
and it was like it was a character piece. It was honestly a character study and a journey, and like that's what spoke to me. Like it's like
I feel like
you know me from when we talk about like Darkest Hour and all all these other films we talk about. Like for me, character is always like so prime and like these deep emotional character journeys, the human aspects of things. That's what interests me. That's why I love these stories and films like that because I love the. Like, superhero films are great, but like Tony Stark, I'm not like, wow, what a humanly relatable character. Because he's Tony Stark, man. Like, he's got issues, sure, but he also has issues of a billionaire. I don't have those problems, you know what I mean? But when you're talking about like Superman, you're talking about specifically Man of Steel. That's like, he's got very human issues and trying to find himself and who he is and his purpose and where he belongs in this world. And he even has a harder time than we do because he's not from this world. And then to have all that, to find that, to discover it, and then have to ultimately tear it all down and break it down and literally kill the last one of your kind, right? Now you're truly alone is like, I think I think Zack Snyder had a really smart arc planned. I think the following two movies completely derailed that arc. But like I think if Man of Steel would have been able to make itself as a proper trilogy before bringing in Batman and all those different elements, I think if they would have made a Man of Steel trilogy or at least a second Man of Steel, I think we would have seen a much like clearer vision and idea of who he was going to be.
It's the same thing with Batman though. If they would have had a extra Batman movie, it probably would have been better too, right? If they would have actually had like introduced Batman in his own movies to connect the two.
Like in saying that, like yes, they could have had their own Batman movie, but I was okay with Batman in that one because at the end of the day, everybody like we get Batman, and we just had like an origin story. And while Nolan's Batman is very different from this one, Batman is still kind of Batman at the end of the day, right? Like there's different takes and interpretations. But like a lot of the core essentials, like most people get Batman. So just throwing Batman in there, I was okay with. And I really like this rendition of the Dark Knight Returns kind of older, grizzled Batman coming back into the fray. I liked that idea, so it worked. But I just think they needed more development with Superman because he wasn't at that place yet where they should have been trying to like do a pseudo Justice League to make a Justice League, right? Like they should have gave Superman a little bit more time to breathe. Because especially that rendition of him is so different than again what people are expecting, people were wanting. They wanted the complete Superman, but you have to get that character there. At least the direct you don't have to. I guess you could start there, but where they decided to start, you had to let the character take that journey. And they just didn't let him do that.
No, I agree.
But I don't know. What were we talking about again? Oh, yeah, question of the day. That was 2013, guys. Anyway, I guess I should wrap up that part of it. Let us know what are your favorite films, worst films. What'd you think about the overall year? You know our feelings on it. And yeah, let us know down in the comment section below. All right, question of the day, Ethan.
So the question of the day might actually have to have me answer it first in order for me to make sense of it.
Okay, fair enough.
What children's cartoon that you didn't watch growing up did you discover as an adult, and what's been a good one that's like stuck with you?
Ooh.
Because like I have an answer.
Okay, yeah, you answer. I'm not even sure. I have to think about this.
So I never got to watch Animaniacs growing up. Like my parents were very anti Animaniacs for some reason. I can't come up with a good answer. And then about 3 years ago, I finally got no less than 2 or 3 years ago, I got shown Animaniacs for the first time. And I picked up the phone and I called my mom and I cussed her out about it because I'm like, Mom, what the heck is going on here? This is perfect. This show is like right up my alley of like comedy. Why wasn't I allowed to watch this? This is an Ethan show. And she's like, yeah, I probably should have paid more attention to what was in it rather than just listening to people tell me not to let you watch it. I'm like, you think?
Make your own decisions.
You think? No, like, dude, it is so good. It is such a good show. And I really missed out as a kid growing up. I really did. Because Animaniacs is just like solid. Like,
it was fun.
10 out of 10. Just entertaining as heck. Is there any shows you've kind of discovered as an adult from your childhood or not?
Man, I don't think so. Like as far as animated shows that I didn't get to watch or didn't get to see. Like I know Simpsons wasn't we weren't supposed to, but we still always did. It didn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's like shows you shouldn't watch, but then it's like I go to my friend's house and I watch them anyway, so it's all cool. Or I watch it with my cousin or my uncle, so it's all fine.
Any live action shows at all?
That's a hard one to answer for me, man, because like in our house there was
not really.
It was pretty much like a lot. Like there was, but like within realms of reality, right? Like obviously, it's like you weren't watching like an R-rated like slash 'em, hack 'em up. You know what I mean? I wasn't like six watching like
Jack
Rambo.
Like my they did show you Jack the Dog at 10
or 11 or 12 or whatever it was. Yeah, but that was an accident. But it was still pretty fun. It was a funny accident. It was an accident. I thought it was a family movie. Like, yeah, it was really for families. Anyway, but no, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that it's like just wasn't allowed to watch or didn't watch that I've watched recently that I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed out on this one.
No, that's fair.
I guess like the only thing would be like not necessarily things that I watched as a kid, but like series that were ongoing and that I didn't catch up to till later on, I guess. Not necessarily as a kid, but like The Office. You know what I mean? Like I used to see The Office on TV every once in a while, and I was like, this show looks stupid. And I never got into it. And it was years that like the series wasn't over when I started watching it, but like we were probably like season 5, season 6. By the time I actually jumped on there, season 7 maybe even. No, it was probably season 6. I think Michael Scott was still there. It was before he left.
I honestly just watched it. I only watched it for the first time last year, I think, or 2 years ago.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, I've been watching it for years now. But it's more or less things like that. Like shows that I won't jump on till like season 5 and 6. And that's kind of fair because it takes a lot of time for shows to catch traction, right? And to get the word around. And Like you can have a show on for 6 seasons and then people finally discover it, and that's kind of where it picks up. Even Vikings, right? Like it's on its 6th season now, its final season,
Final season.
and I just started watching it. You know what I mean? Like I just had started watching it this year, so like it's been on for like 6 years. I don't know. So it's just more or less things like that. There's nothing I can think of from my childhood. I know that's lame. I wish I had an answer for that. Because I wish there was just something that I was like, oh my god, I wish I would have seen this as a kid.
Just means you had a fuller childhood.
And I just don't think there was. Yeah, man. Like we used to watch a lot of movies and cartoons as kids all the time. Like so, it was very. Yeah, there wasn't anything. My mom was just like, you cannot watch that. Like so.
Literally half any TV show my mom didn't like the look of. It was like, nah, you can't watch this. It's like, okay.
Poor Ethan.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
fine.
no, that definitely wasn't my experience growing up. So I probably don't. I wish I had an answer for you, but yeah, I don't. It's more or less just a couple things here and there that I watched later on. Tutors, that series was already over before I watched that. That was a really great series as well. That's when I first saw Henry Cavill, and I was like, I like this guy. He's got some great acting chops. Yes, he's like King Henry's best bud there. Brandon, I can't remember the character's name.
You learn something new every day.
But that was the first time I seen Henry Cavill, and I was like, I like this character. He is great. I knew he was a fantastic actor, so when he became Superman, because that's kind of when Henry Cavill started getting into the spotlight more, was with Man of Steel. So
yeah,
maybe I even had a bias even then watching that film, right? A little bit more attuned to it than most people were, because I was like, this actor's so good. So maybe that was part of it too, but yeah, no. Sorry, bud. No good answers.
No worries, man.
No good answers.
I mean, I'm really sad, Matt. How dare you?
You jerk. Why would you do that?
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for us then today, eh?
That's our feast of films.
Feast of films. After dark. After dark. Jack the dog. I don't know if I necessarily feel stuffed today. I feel
it's been a week, man.
Like,
it's been a week.
Yeah, that's true. I'm beat too, and like I just like 2013. I wish we would have been doing 2014 today. You know what I mean? Like with all these like great movies that are like, oh, they got us so hyped. But then just looking through 2013, it's just kind of like, this is kind of how my week feels, honestly. Like, or like the last week coming up to it, right? It's just it's like meh. There's a whole lot of meh going on, but I don't know if I feel stuffed. But it's always a pleasure talking to you. It was a good time.
I had a fun conversation. I had a good time.
It's always a fun time. Yeah, it's always a good time talking about movies, even if the movies themselves aren't super great.
We're also both ready for bed at this point in our old age.
Yeah. I'll probably be up for another 3 hours. Who knows?
I was gonna say this.
I just drank a cup of coffee and I was like, "No, I'm hyped. Let's do it."
No, man.
I got some stuff to work out, but anyway, yeah, no, that's it for today's episode. Again, let us know what your best worst film 2013. Who are you with? Batman animated series, Spider-Man animated series, or even like one of your favorite Saturday morning cartoons from back in the day? Because there's a lot of them, and I'm sure we didn't touch on like every single one of them. But definitely let us know your answers there. And then if you have a cartoon or a TV series that you were denied as a child and you've just recently discovered it, like Ethan, let us know about that too. There's always great topics to talk about. But yeah. So Ethan, what's going on with you? What do you got planned for this week? And maybe just to touch up on where people can find you.
I have zero clue. I have no idea what I'm doing this week. Probably just try and work on some things some more. Try and watch some good movies for a change. I don't know. I feel like I have plans, but like I can't remember them right now. Otherwise, you can find me on YouTube. You can find me with links below. You can go to damnedrights.com and find links to where to find my movie, Damned Rights, and give it a watch. You can rent it on Real House or buy it on Real House. And yeah, that's pretty much it. How about you, Matt? What are you up to? What's going on?
What's going on with me? So this week coming up again, I'm just gonna be still working on my YouTube channel is coming along. The renovations, a lot of hard work going into that, and it's coming along nicely. I actually just recorded like my first 6 episodes yesterday, so I was really hyped about that. It's good. I got the first one almost done in the editing process, so it's just, yeah, it's been great. And again, you can find me on that YouTube channel as well. Again, it just says under construction. I can't remember exactly. I put like on the banner, like under construction or something. But on Storytellers for Life on YouTube, you can find me there. It's going to be all about reigniting your dreams, living your purpose, telling your stories. We're going to be using inspiration and storytelling tools and community to just really help people grow and be able to share their stories and grow in confidence and be able to just have a nice community to support you. Storytellers for Life, man. That's what it's all about. You can follow me on Twitter at Storytellers4L because I couldn't spell for life because it was too long. But, Storytellers4L, the number 4. But that's pretty much it. Yeah, a lot of stuff still going on this week. It's going to be a busy week coming up. Probably watch another random movie here or there. Probably finish the second half of Accepted that I was working on, if the internet still keeps up. But that is pretty much it. All right, guys. Open, man. All right. Yeah. Okay, well, we will see you guys here same time, same place next week for episode 14, where we're going to be talking about adaptations, and it's going to be awesome. So we're really excited about that. And then after that, it's episode 3, baby. We're at Star Wars episode 3.
Boy. This one has come by real quick, right?
I know. This week has gone by so quick. And of course, let us know also what you guys think of our new outline and frame, how we're framing the episodes. Just let us know what you guys think of that as well. Because we're always trying new things and adapting. Usually after every Star Wars episode, every 5 episodes or so, we kind of switch it up and try and change things and find something that works for us and for you guys. So, of course, let us know that below as well. Lots of stuff for you guys to tell us. Just tell us everything. Tell us everything.
Tell us how much we're terrible.
Exactly. Tell us about your childhoods. Let us know. Okay, that's it. Okay, this has been A Feast of Films, episode 13 for the year 2013, which was super meh. I am Matt Black, and with me as always is
Ethan R. Hill.
We'll see you guys later. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
So long.
Toodaloo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, 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 no, no,
Matt, you're singing the Batman theme wrong.
It's because it's Spider-Man. We do Man of Steel. We'll start from the really slow part.
I refuse.
Okay, just go to bed. We'll see you later, you old bugger.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, guys.